So this is a oral history research project titled "A Simple Life as a Black Arkansan." It is by me, Jordan Weston, and my aunt Tina Jones. She is my maternal aunt, great aunt on my grandpa's sister on my maternal side. And I chose her because she does a good job of keeping up with family memorabilia, and she has lots of memories and knowledge of her past. So, around the time that Tina was born, the state of Arkansas was going through different things, such as civil rights movement and desegregation, and the state of Arkansas was going through a couple of different things following the aftermath of slavery. And in more urban parts of the state, we'll see that there were protests and sit-ins and things like that going on. But in Tina Jones's case, we'll see that many black families in small towns really didn't have a good idea of what was going on outside of their lives and had very little knowledge of their history. In Tina's childhood, she was born in 1959 in her house. They lived in the country. It was a small sharecropper's house. She lived there with her mother, father, grandpa, cousin, and her brother, which is my grandpa. She says that her grandfather had land in the past, but it was taken from them by white people. Her dad was a butcher, and her mom stayed at home, and they grew most of their food. And even though her dad was a butcher, he didn't get to take any of that meat home, so they had to go to town like the other black families did on Saturdays and shop and buy everything they needed and just to socialize and everything. And they said they remember seeing white people. They lived down the street from a white family as well. But race and color really wasn't a thing that people discussed. They attended church faithfully, and they really didn't get out that much. So while that was going on and Tina was a small child, there were things going on in other parts of Arkansas that were affecting African Americans, such as the Industrial School Fire of 1959, where 21 African American boys burned to death inside of a reformatory school. And this happened and put a highlight on racial injustice because of the conditions of the building in which they were living in. And it really showed the differences, because the white reformatory schools were in much better condition than that school was, which led to that tragic event happening. And the lost year, which was from 1958 to 1959, is when schools first integrated, and people really couldn't agree on the things and changes that were happening. So it led to some schools being shut down and kids not having education for a whole year due to the changes in the laws. But when Tina went to school, she was 6 years old, and for 2 years she went to an all-black school, but in 3rd grade she integrated. And she says she remembers very detailed being integrated because she was the only black child in her classroom. And her classmates would ask her, they were kind of confused by her because her skin was a little bit lighter, and they would ask her, "Are you white? Are you black?" And things like that. And she was always confused because they didn't even have mirrors at home. And she never, like her family, never talked about how she looked or race or anything like that. And her mother also did not prepare her for things of that nature. It was just a taboo subject and not something that you talked about in the small town of Hope. But during that time, between 1966 and 1978,